Control 5.12, classification of information, right? Picture Dave. Dave runs everything at a 12-person software company, and Dave has just spent his Tuesday morning marking a lunch order spreadsheet as highly confidential, not because it's sensitive, because that was the option at the top of the dropdown. And Dave is a busy man who picks the first thing he sees. Here's the thing. Nobody stops him. Nobody ever stops him. Because 6 months earlier, somebody in a meeting said, "Let's be careful with our data." And everyone nodded. And that was the entire classification program. So now the sandwich order and the customer database carry the same label Q. That's what this control is actually about. And it's not paperwork. Information shall be classified according to the information security needs of the organization based on confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and on the requirements of relevant interested parties. That's the standard. Go through that sentence slowly, because there are two ideas in there that most people miss entirely. Idea 1, 3 axes, not 1.
Almost everyone treats classification as a secrecy scale. How embarrassed would we be if this leaked? Fine, that's confidentiality. That's 1/3 of the job.
The standard says confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and it means all 3. Integrity is, what happens if this is wrong? Availability is, what happens if we can't get to it? With Dave, his customer database is high confidentiality, obviously, but his pricing configuration file, barely secret. Anyone could look at it and shrug. Now change one number in it by accident, and every invoice for a month is wrong. That's a high integrity asset wearing a low confidentiality coat. If your scheme only measures secrecy, you'll classify that file as internal, put it nowhere near a change control process, and find out about the problem from your customers. Same with availability. The runbook that tells Dave how to restore the production database is not a secret. It's not a secret at all. If it only lives on the laptop that's currently on fire, you have a very interesting afternoon ahead of you. So, 3 questions per asset, not 1. If it leaks, how bad? If it's wrong, how bad? If it's gone for a day, how bad? You will get different answers, and the different answers are the entire point. Idea 2 interested parties. That's the bit in the control text people skim straight past. Classification isn't just your opinion about your own data. It's also what your customers, your regulators, and your contracts demand. If Dave signed an enterprise deal with a clause saying customer data gets encrypted at rest and never leaves the region, that customer has just classified that data for him. He doesn't get a vote. If personal data is in scope, the law has an opinion too, and the law's opinion outranks Dave's. So when you build your scheme, go through the contracts. Actually go through them. The classification obligations you already agreed to in writing are sitting in a folder somebody hasn't opened since signature. Now, the scheme itself. Keep it small, 3 levels, 4 at the absolute outside, public, internal, confidential, done. If you want a 4th for the genuinely radioactive stuff, source code, signing keys, unredacted customer records, call it restricted, and be extremely mean about what gets in. I know what the temptation is. You've seen a defense contractor's scheme with 7 tiers and a color-coded matrix, and it looked impressive. And you thought, we should have that. You should not have that. You have 12 people. Adorable, but no. Because here's the first failure mode. And it's the big one. Overclassification. Everything is confidential. Nothing is. That's not a clever line. It's an operational fact. People stop noticing labels. They stop asking questions. The moment your team learns that the confidential tag appears on the pizza rota, the tag stops carrying information and starts being visual noise. And then one day something genuinely serious goes past with the same label on it, and it gets treated exactly like the pizza rota. Because you trained everyone to ignore it. You did that, not the intern. Overclassification also costs money in a way founders don't see coming. Every level you create implies handling rules. Encryption, restricted access, retention limits, approved destruction. If you classify 80% of your data as confidential, You've just signed yourself up to apply expensive controls to 80% of your data forever, and you won't do it. You'll write it down and then not do it, which is worse than never having written it, because now the gap is documented. Second failure mode, no scheme at all. So people guess. This is quieter and more common. There's no policy, so every person invents their own private standard. Dave thinks the roadmap is fine to share with a prospect. The head of engineering thinks it's commercially sensitive. Neither is wrong, because nobody ever decided. Then something goes out the door and the post-incident conversation is everyone explaining what they assumed. Assumptions are not a control. Third failure mode, and this one's my favorite. Classify once, never look again. Data ages. A financial result is explosive before announcement and public afterwards. A product plan is confidential until launch day. If your scheme has no concept of reclassification, you'll be spending real effort protecting last year's secrets while this year's sit in a shared folder called Stuff. So build in a review point, not a quarterly ceremony with a committee. Just a rule, classification is checked when the asset materially changes, and declassification is allowed and encouraged. Let things get less secret. Most schemes only ratchet one way, and that's how you end up with a vault full of press releases. Now where this connects, Annex A.5.12 is upstream of two others, and it's useless without them. Annex A.5.13 is labeling of information, which is how the classification becomes visible. And an Annex A.5.10 is acceptable use of information and other associated assets, which is where the handling rules live. Classify, label, handle, 3 controls, 1 chain. Do the first without the other 2, and you've built a filing system nobody can follow. It also feeds Annex A.5.9 your inventory, because you cannot classify a thing you haven't listed. And to save you asking, no, this one is not new in the 2022 revision. Classification of information has been in the standard for a long time. What changed is the neighborhood around it. Control set was reorganized into 4 themes. Some controls merged and 11 genuinely new ones appeared. This isn't one of them. So if a consultant tells you Annex A.5.12 is a shiny new 2022 requirement, ask them what else they haven't checked. I should say plainly, I'm not a certified lead auditor. I'm a guide who has watched a lot of small companies make this harder than it is. Here's the dare. Open your file storage, sort by most recently modified. Take the top 20 documents, and against each one write 3 letters. High, medium, or low for leaked. High, medium, or low for wrong. High, medium, or low for unavailable. 20 documents, 20 minutes. If more than half come out high on all 3, you're not being careful. You're guessing and calling it caution. And if none of them do, you've probably got something genuinely important that you never bothered to put in a document at all. Either way, you learn something. Go and do it before Dave classifies the biscuit budget.